Here's the thing about salary negotiation. It feels like a tiny moment, but it can change your whole career trajectory in one conversation. Salary negotiation is one of those life moments where you suddenly feel like you're starring in a high stakes courtroom drama, even though you're just sitting in a meeting room with bad fluorescent lighting. You walk in thinking you're ready, and then your brain goes, so what if we forget every achievement we've ever had? It's wild how quickly confidence can evaporate when someone says, so what were you hoping for in terms of salary? It's like your soul briefly leaves your body and watches from the ceiling. But here's the thing, negotiating your salary isn't about being aggressive or demanding. It's about knowing your worth and communicating it clearly. I mean, you wouldn't walk into a bakery, point at a croissant, and say, I'll pay whatever you think my self-esteem is worth today. You'd ask the price, compare it to your budget, and make a decision. Salary negotiation is the same idea, just with fewer pastries and slightly more sweating. A lot of people get nervous because they think negotiation is conflict. It's not, it's collaboration. You're basically saying, well, here's the value I bring, and here's what fair compensation looks like. And the employer is saying, here's what we can offer based on our structure. Somewhere in the middle is the sweet spot where both sides walk away feeling like they didn't get robbed. You know, that magical zone where everyone smiles politely and pretends they're not doing mental math. Preparation is everything. Before you even think about asking for a number, you need to research, look up market rates, talk to peers, check salary guides, and gather evidence like you're building a case for a true crime documentary. Because when you walk into that room, you want to be able to say, based on industry benchmarks and my contributions, this range makes sense, and not, I don't know, I just kind of feel like I deserve more. Feelings are great, but data is what gets the job done. Another key part is practicing your delivery. You don't need to rehearse like you're auditioning for a Broadway musical, but you should know your talking points. Confidence comes from clarity. When you know exactly what you're going to say, you're less likely to panic and start rambling about your childhood or your cat's dental bills. And trust me, once you start rambling, it's hard to stop. Suddenly, you're explaining how you once saved the team by fixing the office printer, and that's not exactly the leverage you want. When the moment comes, state your number calmly, and then stop talking. Silence is your friend. It feels uncomfortable, like waiting for a microwave to finish the last 3 seconds, but it's powerful. People often talk themselves down because they can't handle the quiet. They say their number and then immediately add like, but I'm flexible, or it's totally fine if not. Don't do that. Say your number and let the other person respond. You're not negotiating against yourself. Sometimes the employer will counter with something lower. That's normal. It's not a rejection of your worth. It's just part of the dance. You can respond by reinforcing your value, highlighting your achievements, and explaining why your number is justified. You're not begging, you're presenting facts. And if they still can't meet your range, you can negotiate other things. Extra leave, flexible hours, training budgets, or a better title. Compensation isn't just money, it's the whole package. One thing people forget is that negotiation doesn't make you look ungrateful. It makes you look professional. Companies expect it. Hiring managers don't go home and say, wow, can you believe they asked for a fair salary? They go home and say that person knows their value. And honestly, that's the energy you want to bring into your career. You're not being difficult. You're being intentional. Of course, there's always that fear of hearing no, but a no isn't the end of the world. It's information. It tells you where the boundaries are. And sometimes hearing no helps you decide whether the role is actually right for you. If a company consistently undervalues you, that's not a place where you'll thrive. You deserve to work somewhere that recognizes your contributions, not somewhere that treats raises like rare mythical creatures. The funniest part about salary negotiation is that once you do it a few times, it stops feeling scary. You start to realize that everyone is just trying to figure things out. The hiring manager is doing their job, you're doing yours. And the conversation becomes less like a gladiator battle and more like two adults trying to solve a puzzle. You know, the kind of puzzle where the pieces are money and expectations instead of cardboard. So the next time you're preparing for a negotiation, remind yourself that you bring real value. You've worked hard, built skills, delivered results, and grown in ways that matter. You're not asking for charity. You're asking for alignment. And that's not just reasonable, it's smart. And if your voice shakes a little, or your hands get sweaty, or your brain briefly tries to escape through the nearest exit, that's okay. You're human. Negotiation is a skill, and like any skill, it gets easier with practice. What matters is that you show up, speak clearly, and advocate for yourself, because no one else can do that part for you. In the end, salary negotiation isn't about winning, it's about balance. It's about making sure you're compensated fairly for the value you bring. It's about stepping into your career with confidence instead of hesitation. And it's about reminding yourself that you deserve to be paid well for good work. So go into that room, take a breath, and trust yourself. You've got this. And honestly, once you get that raise, the victory coffee the next morning hits different.